Week 6 already of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I looked at on the wire this week. The first guy, Bryce Miller of the Seattle Mariners. So Miller, he's taken the league by storm so far in the first two starts here, and he's been a big fantasy asset for owners. Went down early in the week and got him on their rosters. Right now, he's only available in 50% of fantasy leagues, and now after a good outing once again in his second career start for Miller, he's going to be owned in more fantasy leagues. So right now, he's probably the top pickup this week at the pitching position, and fantasy owners should go out there and get him on the season here for Miller. 12 innings on the year, 1-0 record, 15 strikeouts, a 1 ERA, 0.23 whip, and 2 quality starts on the season. So he's gone out there the first 2 outings, and he's pitched great baseball as Bryce Miller. And right now, the Seattle team definitely needs help in the rotation, obviously, with Robbie Ray out for the season with the Tommy John surgery. So the first 2 outings for Miller, May 2nd at the A's, 6 innings in that one, no decision, 2 hits, a run, 10 Ks in that ball game, a quality start. And May 7th versus the Astros, 6 innings, got the win in that ball game. 2 hits, no runs, a walk, 5 Ks, a quality start. So right now he's got electric stuff as Miller. First outing, obviously, Oakland, not a good hitting team, but Houston, a solid hitting team for the most part, even though they were off to a slow start this season. But he's gone out there versus 2 division rivals and mowed them down. So right now, he'll be in the rotation a long time, I believe, is Bryce Miller. And this Seattle team, over the last couple of years now, they found George Kirby from the minors. He's been solid. Logan Gilbert. And now Bryce Miller, another youngster to add to the rotation. So right now, go out there and get Miller before it's too late. And like I said, he's probably the top pickup of the week at the pitching position. The next guy's Mason Miller of the Oakland Athletics. And no, they're not related. This is Bryce Miller and Mason Miller, but they did have a pitching duel earlier last week. Is both these pitchers. And right now, Mason Miller out there surprisingly in 62% of fantasy leagues on the season here. For Mason Miller, 21 and a third on the year, 0-2 record, 22 strikeouts, a 3.42 ERA, and an 0.99 whip with 2 quality starts in the season. So I know he's on an Oakland Athletic team that's going to lose over 100 games this season. Here's Mason Miller, but he definitely has electric stuff, and he's definitely improved over the first 4 starts of his major league career. I know he got off to a little bit of a slow start the first couple outings, but the last 2 outings, solid outings here for Mason Miller. April 25th, the Angels, 4 innings, got the loss, 5 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 6 Ks. May 2nd versus Seattle, 7 innings, no decision, 4 walks, 6 Ks in that one, a quality start. And May 7th at the Royals yesterday, 6 innings, he got the loss in that one, but only 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 5 Ks, a quality start. So he's going out there. He's pitching pretty deep into ball games for the most part, is Mason Miller. And this Oakland Athletic team, they're going to see what the youngster has. He'll be in the rotation most likely the remainder of the season, unless obviously an injury or an innings limit. But right now, both Millers are top priorities, in my opinion, this week to get off the waiver wire. And this could be the last chance to get them this week. Next guy, Tanner Bidby of the Cleveland Guardians. So another top prospect that's come up over the last few weeks, and he's looked pretty solid, is Tanner Bidby. And today he's got a nice start versus the Detroit Tigers on the schedule. On the season, 11 innings, 1-0 record, 13 strikeouts, a 2.45 ERA, and a 0.91 whip. So right now, Bidby, he's only available in 53% of fantasy leagues. And if he has another good outing here today, he's going to be off the wire quicker. And another guy that fantasy owners will miss out on get. So far, a lot of young pitchers have come up, and they've been solid in the early going. So the first few games here for Bibby, April 26th versus the Rockies, 5 2/3 got the win, 6 hits, a run, 8 Ks in that ball game. And May 2nd at the Yankees, a mixed type of ball game, 5 1/3, no decision, 4 hits, 2 runs, 5 Ks. So the first 2 outings pretty solid. Like I said, a young top prospect coming up for this Guardian team, and a guy who's going to give them some innings, and he pitches in a pretty favorable division as well in the AL Central. So right now, while he's out there and pitching good, and after today, if he has another big game versus the Tigers, you could kiss your chances goodbye, I believe, of picking him up off the waiver wire. So right now is the time to get him this week. The next guy's his teammate, Logan Allen of the Cleveland Guardians. So Logan Allen, another young prospect in the system. And this Guardian team, for whatever reason, they always have good pitching prospects come up. And one more other guy down there in the minors, but not ready yet, is Gavin Williams, who hopefully is up towards the middle part of the year or the later part of the year. So right now, Logan Allen available still in 55% of fantasy leagues. On the season, 16 2/3, 1-1 record, 19 strikeouts, a 2.70 ERA, 1.26 whip, and a quality start. So Allen, he's gone out there, and he's about a 6-inning pitcher so far in the first 3 outings for this Cleveland Guardian team. And this Guardian team, I know the offense isn't great, but they've always been a pitch-first type of team. And Allen so far has gone out there, and like I said, he's been decent. April 23rd versus Miami, 6 innings, he got the win, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 8 Ks. April 10th at Boston, 5 innings, tough luck loser, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks in that one. May 6th versus the Twins, 5 2/3, no decision, 7 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. So Allen so far racking up the strikeouts, 19 in the first 3 outings for him. He's in a favorable division, like I said, and he's going to be part of the rotation, I believe, for the near future. Zach Plesac pretty much kicked out of the rotation over there in Cleveland. I know Aaron Savall, he could be back sooner than later, but I don't think Allen or Bidby, obviously, are going to be in jeopardy of losing their starting job unless they start getting hit around. But right now, while Allen's been decent so far in the early going, he's definitely a pitcher I would go out there and get this week. Next guy's Bailey Ober of the Minnesota Twins. So a lot of decent pitching prospects coming up over the last few weeks for this Twin team. And Ober last season, he was up in the major leagues for a little bit, but now he's going to get a real opportunity, I think, with Tyler Mahal out for this Minnesota Twin team, out for at least 4 to 5 weeks on the season, 18 and the third. 2-0 record, 16 Ks and 0.98 ERA, 0.87 whip, and a quality start here for Ober. So Ober right now available only in 63% of fantasy leagues. So he's going out there, he's playing good baseball, he's in a favorable division, good pitcher's ballpark as well over there in Minnesota. And the first 3 outings, he's been great this season. April 23rd versus Washington, 5 2/3, got the win. 3 hits, a run, 3 walks, 4 Ks in that one. April 29th versus the Royals, 5 2/3, no decision. 4 hits, a run, 2 walks, 6 Ks in that game. And then May 5th at the Guardians, 7 innings, got the win. 3 hits, a walk, 6 Ks, a quality start. So his next outing definitely going to be a challenge yet this season here for Ober, with a tough matchup versus San Diego Padres coming to town in Minnesota May 11th. But right now, he's going out there, he's pitching good. Tyler Mahal, like I said, he's out multiple weeks with an injury. And even if he has a bad outing, he's not a player I would give up on right away as Ober. So right now, while he's out there in 63% of fantasy leagues, it's time for owners to go out there and get him this week. There's another good outing or two, especially if May 11th he has a great one versus the Padres. He'll be pretty much owned at 60 or more plus % of fantasy leagues. Next guy's Brandon Pfaadt of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Pfaadt, one of the top prospects in Major League Baseball at the pitching position. And he came up versus the Texas Rangers last week, and he did get lit up 4 2/3 in his debut, 3 strikeouts in that ball game, and his ERA on the season at 13.50 with a 2.14 whip. But Pfaadt, I still have confidence in him. It was only one bad game. Obviously, first game jitters most likely for the rookie here, but he's done it all in the minor league system, and now it's got to translate to the bigs, and sometimes it takes a while for some of these younger pitchers. But right now, his next outing's tomorrow versus the Marlins. That's one of the worst offenses in baseball this season, so I think Pfaadt could bounce back. It's a home game for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it was a tough matchup at Texas. That obviously is a team that could put up runs at any time, anywhere. 16 runs in yesterday's game for this Ranger team, and they scored 12 in Pfaadt's first start. So after a bad first outing, he's still out there in 74% of fantasy leagues, and as long as he's in the major leagues, he has major upside, is Pfaadt, and he's a pitcher I will go pick up this week off the wire. Right now, like I said, a lot of young rookies coming up, a lot of top prospects, and this is the time for owners to go out there and get them. Yes, there'll be some good games and some bad games, but the upside of some of these players is obviously too high to turn down. The next guy, JP France of the Houston Astros. So JP France, pretty solid in his debut. And we know 2 injuries now in the rotation for the Astros. Jose Urquidy, he's going to be out for multiple weeks, probably to the All-Star break or afterwards. And Luis Garcia, unfortunately, Tommy John surgery, out for the remainder of the season. So in his first outing for JP France, he was solid versus the Seattle Mariners. 5 innings in that one, no decision, 5 Ks, no runs in the game, 0.80 whip. So right now, he's going to get an opportunity, like I mentioned, is JP France. With 2 injuries in the rotation, he's definitely going to have a spot. And B-Doc, we know, came up as well, but I think they could possibly make a trade or go with Whitley for the other spot. But France, like I said, had a good outing. and the bullpen just blew it for him, or he would have got a win after Seattle made a comeback in the 8th inning in that game. So right now, his next outing is going to be later on in the week here for JP France. And right now, he's still available in tons of fantasy leagues after even that good outing right now. He's out there in 82% of leagues, so he's on a good Astro team, even though it's been a slow start. Probably World Series hangover, I believe, as well for this Astro team. But right now, JP France out there in tons of fantasy leagues at 82%, and he's a pitcher I would go out there and get this week. The next pitcher is Hayden Wesneski of the Chicago Cubs. So Wesneski, he's coming out of nowhere over the last few weeks here. He got off to a slow start in the first few starts of the year for Wesneski, but right now, he's hitting on all cylinders on the season. 34 1/3, 2-1 record, 23 strikeouts, a 4.10 ERA, and a 1.28 whip with 3 quality starts on the season. So right now, surprisingly, he's still out there in 65% of fantasy leagues, is Wesneski. And he's a guy that could go out there. He could get some strikeouts. He's definitely getting quality starts for this Cub team. And this Cub team so far, they've been a decent team early in the season with younger pitching and some good hitting up and coming as well. So the last few games, April 27th versus the Padres, 5 innings, got the win. 4 hits, a run, a walk in that one, 3 strikeouts. May 2nd at the Nationals, 5 innings, a run, no walks, 2 Ks in that one, a quality start. And May 7th versus the Marlins in a good one. 6 innings, again, no decision, 5 hits, a run, no walk, 6 Ks, a quality start. So right now he's barely walking anybody, which is also great for a young pitcher, obviously. And he's got a decent Chicago Cub offense behind him, even though over the last couple games, tough luck ball games, 6 innings, no decision, one for Wesneski, where he only gave up a run in each ball game. So right now, while it's tough to find some good starting pitching out there on the waiver wire, he's pitching good baseball as Wesneski, and he's available, like I said, in 65% of fantasy leagues, and this Cub team likes him, so definitely go out there and pick him up this week. Next pitcher is Pierce Johnson of the Colorado Rockies. So right now, he's the closer, is Pierce Johnson. Daniel Barbino came back a few weeks ago, but Pierce Johnson's been the guy so far in the season. 13 1/3, 0-1 record, 5 saves, 20 strikeouts in only 13 1/3, 4.73 ERA, and a 1.73 whip. So I know it's tough, obviously, in Coors Field to get a lot of saves, and you're going to blow saves, and that hit his ballpark and the altitude, obviously, but he's getting chances as Pierce Johnson. I know there's not many great closers. There's a handful, 6 to 10 good closers possibly in fantasy baseball, and sometimes you just got to plug and play some of these closers. So right now, while he's getting an opportunity, and this Rocky team I know is not that great of a team so far this season, even though over the last week they've won 6 out of 7 ball games. Pierce Johnson's getting an opportunity, and right now, while he's getting save chances, he's available in 75% of fantasy leagues, and he's a closer I would pick up this week. And the final pitcher I look to pick up this week's Domingo Germán of the New York Yankees. So Germán this season, he's been healthy so far. We'll see if that continues, but right now available in 59% of fantasy leagues. 39 1/3, 2-2 record, 44 strikeouts, a 4.35 ERA, 0.94 whip, and 2 quality starts on the season here for Germán. So Germán, this Yankee team, we know they need some pitching on this roster, especially with Carlos Rendon out, and Garrett Cole even got bombed in yesterday's ball game versus the Tampa Bay Rays. So Germán, over the last few games, he's gone out there and he's pitched pretty solid. April 26th at the Twins, 6 innings, got the win, 5 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks in that one. May 1st versus the Guardians, 8 1/3, he almost went the distance, 2 hits, a run, a walk, 6 Ks. And then May 6th at Tampa Bay, obviously the best team in baseball, 5 innings, no decision, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts in that ball game for Germán. So his next outing will come later on this week here. And this Yankee team will get Aaron Judge back in the lineup in tomorrow's ball game, the 8th. So right now, Domingo Germán will get some offensive reinforcements. Yankees back home for this homestand here. And we'll see if Germán could continue to be a decent pitcher. Health has always been an issue with Germán, but this season so far, in the early going, he's been healthy, and he's been stretching the arm out, going 6 innings or more 3 times already in the first month and change of the season. So right now, while he's out there in 59% of fantasy leagues, he's a solid pickup this week. So that's a few pitchers I look to hit off the wire here in week 6 of the fantasy baseball season.